Are you looking for a way to scale your short-term rental business and buy more properties? Well, co-hosting might be the right fit for you. Welcome to the Co-Host Coach podcast with Joe Roney. This episode of the Co-Host Coach is brought to you by Savvy STR Agents. If you're looking to buy a short-term rental, then contact the STR Savvy Agent team at savvy.realty.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Co-Host Coach. I am Joe Roney, and we are going to be discussing general contractor versus doing the updates yourself, right? So everybody knows my wife and I, when we take on a new co-host property, we do major designs. We do major upgrades. We're usually spending anywhere from low end $12,000 to $15,000 to as much as $100,000 in a property. And one of the things we've done recently is, in the very beginning, we did all the work ourselves. So if you go back and look at my website, the Coastal Chateau, I did the shiplap. I put the wood ceiling up, the plank ceiling up. We've laid floors. We obviously do all the wallpaper. I painted a kitchen cabinet. I've painted, a little bit of everything, right? And, I've done all this kind of work before, and it's not, to me, I enjoy it because it's not my everyday job, right? I'm not, when we're doing these setups, it's 1 week, every, maybe we're doing one every couple months, maybe every 6 to 8 weeks, whatever it may be. And so this is not my everyday job. So I do enjoy it. I enjoy the work. I enjoy being able to just unplug from the normal day-to-day stuff of selling real estate and talking to clients and guest communication and, putting on my headphones and doing some of that work. However, it also takes a toll, and it also takes longer when you're trying to do everything yourself. And our first clients, benefited from us building a business by getting some work done at a very reasonable rate, if not almost free in some cases in the very beginning. And now that we've done this and we've had a lot more people calling us to do this kind of work, and my wife's designing is getting a little bit out there where people are wanting her to design, in many different markets, and getting more and more people that are calling us about it. It was time to kind of raise our prices, but more importantly, change how we do things. So, in the first 7 or 8, 10 that we did, my wife would design it, she'd order everything, send it to the house, we'd get it there, or send it to our house, we'd put it on our trailer, and we'd drive it to the property, and we'd assemble all the furniture and paint the walls and do the wallpaper, and we did everything ourselves. When we did the Coastal Chateau back in early May, it was a really busy real estate time, and a project that should have taken 5 or 6 days took 10 to 15 days when it was all said and done because, I had lots of other business going on. And we also took on more than what we normally do by putting up shiplap walls and the wood plank ceiling or the tongue and groove ceiling and all that stuff. Stuff that I've, not done a ton of that stuff, but we did all of it ourselves. And when we were doing that property, I did have a built-in bunk guy, Brendan, down in the 30A PCB area. So if you're looking for a built-in bunk guy, he is the best. I can get you his info. Just shoot me a DM. But he said, I was like, how much would you have charged to shiplap this wall? And he gave me a number. And then I said, how much for the ceiling? And he gave me a number. I'm like, well, we just charged less than that for everything. So we definitely are underselling ourselves. That being said, when we're doing this for a co-host client, we're not looking to make a lot of money in the design and setup, right? Do we want to make money? Yes. But it's a long game. Like, I'm trying to build a relationship with these owners that want us to manage their properties for years and years and years, maybe even decades. I don't know how long they're going to own it, but I want to continue to manage their property. So I'm looking at the long game, and us doing this is going to make the property make more money. So that being said, we realize that we are to a point where we have a lot of other business, and our businesses have all grown over the past year or two. And we're, between the real estate side and the co-hosting side and the coaching program. And, for some of you who don't know, my wife and I own a preschool. Like, there's, we have a lot going on. Of course, we manage our own short-term rental, so we needed to kind of give some of that work to somebody else. So we just finished up a huge, probably our biggest remodel to date, and I'm going to share what we learned and a little bit about what we're going to do on the next one because we changed how we did things. So this property, it was actually closed on in May, but it was fully booked May through July. So we worked with the owner and said, you know what, we're going to manage it as is. We had to go tweak a couple of things, but we're going to manage it as is for the peak season because it's already fully booked. Like we literally had almost every single day of the whole summer booked. They were discounted rates from the previous manager, but it was booked, and we wanted to honor those reservations and not displace somebody for their vacation. So we got through the summer, thankfully, with all 5-star reviews, knock on wood. But we were ready for the new design. So we went in and we needed to get, rip out carpet in all the bedrooms. We had some icky ceramic tile in the hallway. And then the third level had, and stairs were this really old hardwood floor, light oak, and it just did not flow with any of the new design. So it was the cheapest way or the best most economic way was to put new LVP down in all the main areas. So the bedrooms, the stairs, the hallway, and the third level game room, fourth bedroom, whatever you want to call it. So we had a flooring company go in. They gave us a couple different flooring companies, gave us bids. So for the owner, I contacted these flooring companies. I got multiple bids. We chose the one that we thought would be the best. All the bathrooms had tons of wallpaper, and this wallpaper was ugly, and it had to come out. And you can't just paint over wallpaper because you never know when it's going to start peeling. So we had to have the wallpaper removed. The kitchen cabinets were regular oak. We decided to paint those blue. We needed to paint every single wall in the house. So the way we planned out, we always want to do things quick. We wanted to have the flooring company and the painting company go in week 1 and get all that done. And then we get there in week 2 and we do the design and the new furnishings and all is great. On paper, it sounded great. In reality, it didn't work out so well. But it wasn't bad. The painters went in there day 1, got the third level all done for the most part, at least enough to where the flooring guys could go up and do the flooring. And then day 2, they were on the second level, and the goal was them to finish that second level, and then the flooring guys to go in and put the flooring in level 2, and then get to the level 3, and so on, right? And they started on a Monday, and our goal was by Saturday, maybe Sunday, the whole house is painted and all the flooring is done. So we get in there on Saturday or Sunday, and we have a week to get everything else done. Well, painters ran into a lot of issues. The wallpaper that was ripped out of the bathrooms, the paper behind it had never been primed, so they had to pretty much refinish, mud tape, and sand down all of those walls, and that took a lot of extra time. The regular walls, it was a 20-year-old vacation rental. There was a lot of nicks and holes and things like that. And, the question is, when you're doing a remodel like this, do you just paint over it and call it good and say, well, it's a vacation rental, we're going to have that? Or do you do it right and make it look new and brand new? And my team, they were phenomenal. They were, very meticulous, and they made every single wall in that house look like it was brand new sheetrock. And they, even when they did paint, so they'd mud it, they'd sand it, they get it all ready, and then they'd go put their first coat of paint on it, and they'd look at it and say, "Ooh, there's still some imperfections." Then they'd get that putty out again, and they'd putty it again, sand it down the next morning, and then put in that second coat of paint, and it was good to go. That took a lot more time than expected. In fact, I was hoping they were going to be done by Saturday or Sunday. They didn't actually finish until Wednesday at 5 p.m. that following week, and that put us a little bit behind the 8 ball. So this was kind of like my first go around being the general contractor managing. I mean, I've managed people my whole life. I've, been corporate retail management. I've been in lots of different areas, but it's different when you're managing contractors and you're coordinating who's doing what. And a couple things that we found out is like the flooring guys couldn't do what they were supposed to do because the painters were still there. And then the built-in bunk guys got in and they had to work around the painters too. And so it was just we try to do is a little bit too much all at once. It got done, and it's amazing. And if you go to our website, Solera Cove, PCB Solera Cove, or you can go to the PCBSoleraCove.com. And that website, by the time this airs, should be fully updated. And man, it is amazing. The design turned out fantastic. It took an extra week. We ended up having to fly back down for to Panama City Beach for about a 3 to 4 day weekend to finish up. Before we left that Thursday, we did have almost all the furniture assembled and everything, but we had some family events that were planned that weekend, so we came back the following week to finish, and it is phenomenal. So the reason why I discuss this is because when you're you know in this job, and we have three more of these to do over the next, well, three and a half to do over the next 3 or 4 months, because we picked up three new properties and all of them need major remodels, and we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to plan it a little bit different. So the lessons that I learned were, number one, the flooring guy should have just done all the flooring first. I'm sorry, the painting guy should have done all the painting first, and then once the painting was all done, let the flooring guys go in and do their thing, and then when the flooring guys are done, the painters can go back and touch up any nicks from the flooring guys, and then we can get all the furniture and we can start, right? So, and that's mostly what we're doing on these next three is same thing. We have some flooring that has to get replaced. We got some painting that has to get done. So far, none of the painting walls look as bad as the one this last one had, so I think the painting will be a little bit better in this next ones that we gotta do, and not take quite as long. We definitely don't have the wallpaper, issues on these next ones. The traditional, 1990s, early 2000s, wallpaper is not the easiest to take off. So if you are taking on projects like these, my whole purpose for talking about this today was don't bite off more than you can chew, and make sure you plan accordingly. And some of you that are getting in this business have W-2 jobs, and you can't take the time off to go do these major designs and remodels, and that's okay. You don't have to do it because everybody's business model in this co-hosting space is different. And you guys know what my model is. We want the best properties. I want the top performing properties in the Panama City Beach market. That is my market. That's where I want to be. I don't want to be in Destin. I don't want to be in the Forgotten Coast. I kind of want to be in a mountain market someday, but I want to be the top properties in PCB, and we're using my wife's skills to design and make the properties that we're managing the best, and it's working. We're having some of the top performing properties, and hopefully in 2026 we'll have the top three properties that are not on the beach, in all of Panama City Beach. So we're just continuing that path to get where we're going, but we are completely shifted gears into more of a GC role. Now, that being said, we still hung all the wallpaper. We still went in and changed the light fixtures, and I put new ceiling fans up, and I did all that work myself. Now, that doesn't mean that's always going to be that way. Sometimes I'm gonna have a handyman come in and take care of that stuff. Sometimes I'm gonna do it myself. It just kind of depends. The owner's budget's gonna be one of those. Timeline on when we can do it or when we're in there is gonna be part of it. So, we're not saying we're not washing our hands and saying, well, we're not doing setups anymore. We're still doing setups. We're just scaling back on doing everything ourselves, right? I'm, you know, not close to 50 yet, but I'm over 40, so my body can't handle doing everything by myself. And my wife is absolutely amazing, and she outworks most. She's actually the furniture assembly when it comes to doing dressers or end tables and big, entertainment centers. She has been the goat on that. And while I'm hanging wallpaper and doing light fixtures and plumbing type stuff, she's been handling a lot of that stuff. But we've also hired some people to come in and do some furniture assembly for us. We've hired some people to come in and do, various tasks. But we're just hiring a little bit more on that other stuff now. So really excited as we go into this off season. Again, these three properties that we picked up all are going to be fully decked out, fully remodeled, and super super excited about it to kind of see, what they look like. My wife's just begun the designs, and we'll see how it goes. So, um, the last thing I'm going to talk about is in this setup in the GC is the organization that you need, right? So when you are designing a new property and you are trying to think about everything that goes on. So if you see these designers and you say, "Oh man, they're charging $10,000 for a design or $15,000 for a design or some out there 50 to 60 or $70,000 for a design for the high-end ones that are moving walls and making major changes." The design is not just about, "Oh, here's a design," but then you have to have your spreadsheet of every single item that has to be ordered, the links where it gets ordered from, the price that it is, so you can make sure you stay within the budget. Will it come in on time on the delivery? And then scheduling those deliveries and who's picking up those items and how is it getting delivered there? And there's so much logistics that go on the design side. So for you designers out there, seriously, round of applause for you guys. I see it firsthand. I see how much work my wife puts in. I mean, we have notebook filled with spreadsheets, and my wife's a handwritten person, not necessarily a computer spreadsheet person. So, I mean, we have pages and pages and pages of handwritten info on every single piece that's coming in, how much money we spent on this Amazon order and that Wayfair order and this, new appliances or whatever it may be, right? So there's so much that's happening that we have to keep track, and the designers, that's a huge, huge part of it. And then in that room, did you get everything? Did you miss, a wall hanging or a rug or whatever it is? Like there's a whole lot that goes into those designs. So, hats off to you designers out there. If you are a co-host and you're getting into this space and you're wanting to do these designs yourself, just got to be organized. Hopefully you have a type A wife like I do that can handle all that stuff, because I will be honest, if I were the one handling all that, I would have failed at this business 2 years ago. I have a great partner in crime. She's amazing. Could not be doing this without her. And so, Jen, thank you. I know you won't listen to this, but thank you very much for all that you do, because she really is the brains in this operation when it comes to all the logistics, all of the thinking of what goes into it, and thinking of all the things that you got to think of as a host to make sure you have a 5-star property. So that's all I got for general contracting versus regular doing it yourself this week. Whatever you decide, just go all in, right? Know what you're doing, go after it, make a positive impact for those owners, because the people you're doing this for are going to see the results, and they're going to be really excited. They're going to be a little skittish on how much money they want to spend. It's going to happen. They're not going to want to spend as much money as you want them to spend, and you got to find a happy medium in there. And but the biggest part is get an idea of what that budget is, or get a solid, like, okay, your budget for this house is $50,000. Like, I can't go a dime over that. And then deduct your fees, whatever your setup fees or your design fees or whatever it may be. And then that's the money you have left over to, whether you're paying for people or you're doing, furnishings, whatever it may be. And you kind of have to work backwards, kind of like, Mike Mikalowicz says in his book, Profit First. Pay yourself first, deduct everything else later, and stay within that budget. So that's going to help you make sure that you make the money. And again, if it's your first one and you got to dip into some of the stuff that you were supposed to get paid, so be it. Use it as a learning experience so you can make more money at the next one. So, world of opportunity out there. Go out and get it. Thank you guys for listening to the Co-Host Coach, and I will see you next week.